Good evening, everyone. I'm Amlu Krishna, and I'm thrilled to be your host for this evening. Joining me is Deepa, our co-host. This evening, we are going to talk about a country which is world's most popular tourist destination, the largest country in the European Union, and is sometimes called the Hexagon. Does anyone want to guess which destination we are talking about? Well, we are delighted to welcome each and every one of you to our special webinar, Navigating Your Path, France Student Visa Process, brought to you by FES. Thank you for being here with us tonight. Let me start with a brief introduction to FES. At FES, we provide premier study abroad education services tailored to both students and working professionals who aspire to pursue higher education overseas. With offices strategically located in major cities across India, including Kochi, Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and Pune, we are committed to helping you achieve your dream of studying abroad. Our extensive network and deep expertise are focused on equipping you with the tools you need to navigate the ever-evolving landscape of international education. Whether you're dealing with the complexities of applications or the challenges of adapting to a new culture, we are here to support you every step of the way. Tonight's session, Navigating Your Path, France Student Visa Process, is designed to offer you comprehensive insights into studying in France. We'll explore opportunities, unique cultural experiences, and practical tips to make your journey smoother and more enriching. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Sithara Vijayan, our esteemed guest speaker for this session. Sithara serves as the French International Education Advisor, bringing with her invaluable experience in French educational destinations. Throughout her career, she has garnered extensive knowledge and expertise in the realm of studying in France. Today, Sithara will provide us with comprehensive insight into the France student visa process and offer practical advice to enhance your journey. We hope you find the session incredibly informative and inspiring. For ongoing updates and personalized support, be sure to connect with us on our social media handles. Please note that we will have a dedicated Q&A session towards the end of the webinar. If you have any questions or inquiries during the session, please feel free to send them via the Q&A option. Let's dive in and explore the incredible opportunities that France has to offer. Once again, thank you all for joining us, and we hope you have a great time. Enjoy the session. Once again, welcome, Sithara. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Amlu, for that quick, snappy introduction. Bonjour, all of you. Good evening, and thank you from my side as well for taking some time off to be a part of the session that we have put together for you. I wouldn't want to repeat and try to take off that the beauty with which Amalu introduced myself. So no repetitions there. Just to set the ground as to what this session is going to be all about. Over the next 30-40 minutes, I hope to take you through the various aspects, the various facets of French student visa. Some of the key areas. Basically the whole idea is to take off by the end of the session, take off whatever gray areas that you may have, with regards to the French student visa. Probably some of you have already got the wheels rolling. You've already set out on this path. You've already identified programs, or you've even probably gotten offer letter, or not probability. You must be evaluating France for your education as an education destination for the next intake, wherever you may be. The whole idea is to help you and simplify whatever thoughts you may have that surrounds the French student visa. And to let you know once again that we are here as a team to guide you, to handhold you, and to, realize this journey of getting to France for your academic pursuits, right? So, and as of course, as Amalu mentioned, whatever questions you may have, that pop up, do drop them into the box, and we'll address them together at the end of the session, right? So, moving on to into the session. So this is what I've lined up for you for this evening. We'll, as mentioned, go over some of the commonly sought after, or some of the commonly used French student visa types, and the most popular ones. What are the implications? What are the requisites? What are the challenges? The process overall. Of course, the financial requirements, very important aspect when it comes to any visa, as we all know. Very interesting, I'm sure, point there is how important, or how so not important is the French language in your, when you're evaluating France as an education destination for yourself. Health insurance requirements, and we'll wind up, with me leaving you a few tips or a few good practices to ensure that there are no hazards, there are no hiccups in your visa application, right? And of course, the Q&A at the end. So, starting off with what visa do I choose? So, though I've named it that way, we don't have much of a choice, right? It's not for us to choose. It depends on what your aspirations or what your project is, right? So these are some of the most commonly found or commonly used visa types for our Indian students: the short term, the long term, internship, and the researcher visa. It's not limited to them. It's not limited to these. There are several other smaller categories of visas, but this is what I think is more relevant to our audience, and to this is what I've been seeing the most, you could say, right? Getting started with the short-term student visa, as the name suggests, it is for a shorter period, right? Now, what is shorter period? What is a shorter period? It is anything which is less than 90 days. So if your educational or if your academic project qualifies for less than 90 days, and this is the visa type that you are eligible for. And you may ask, what is that I get to do for less than 90 days? Lots, in fact. You could go over to France to attend a training program, as a working professional, or even as a student, in the midst of your academic year. Conferences. What I personally think this visa type is mostly used amongst our Indian students is for the internship, right? So during your undergrad studies, especially for the engineering students, you do have to go through the internship, which is part of the whole course. So instead of doing it in India or elsewhere, you could always choose to, identify an organization or an institute where you could carry out your internship for a month or two, less than 90 days, right? This has been a good, I would say, it's like a test dose, right? Where you're testing the waters. You go over to France, you do your internship, you see how it works, how the the work culture is, how the people are, the language, and very often we've had students who come back, and they're so motivated, they're so driven by all that France had to offer them, that they decide to, the following year, or where once they finish their undergrad program, choose to do their masters in France, right? So this is a very safe I mean, if ever that, makes sense for you to do an internship in France. So as long as it is less than 90 days, this is the visa type that you would look at, right? I'm not going too much into it because we have better things lined up, which are more relevant, I would say. And that is the long stay visa type, right? So long stay visa is, as you might have guessed by now, anything which is more than 90 days. And why do I say that this is the most popular or the more common type of visa? For the mere fact that most of our Indian students aspire to move to France to do their master's, doctoral or postdoctoral studies, right? So how is it different from the short-term visa application? I will take you through that. So there is the most important feature here, which is different from the short-term visa type, is the fact that there is another step, between your getting the offer letter and submitting your application at the visa office. You have another step coming in between called as the campus trans procedure, right? So in a bit, I'll tell you what that is all about and how you can, get that get that behind as well. And another thing is that since this is a long-term visa, right? So anything more than 90 days. So if you're talking about a year and a half, 2 years, because a master's program, as some of you might know, can vary between 12 months to 24 months, right? So sometimes it's 12, sometimes it's 18. So this is more like a some sort of permanency, not permanent visa, but some sort of longevity that comes in the picture, right? So it obviously involves post-arrival immigration formalities. So you need to once you're in the country, there are certain steps that you need to go over to kind of formalize your or legitimize rather your stay in France, right? Now about the campus France procedure. So this is typically the first step, or this is the initiation of your long stay student visa process, right? So when does this come into the picture, and what is the campus trans procedure all about? So once you have, so I'm talking about when you talk about the visa, we would have reached a stage where we know we are going to get the offer, the acceptance rather from the school, from the university or the school in no time, or you have already secured you've already been accepted into the institute, right? So that's the point you start looking at the visa, which is the next in line. So the campus France procedure is to be done typically at this time. Once you have secured your admission, you move on to the campus trans procedure that comes next in line, right? And this is to be done. You need to initiate or you need to go through this process, even if you're choosing to do a program which is only for a semester, so 6 months. And anyways, it is more than 90 days, right? So just thought I'd leave you with that, point as well, that it is important that you do it, even if it's not important, it is an imperative, even if it's for a semester, right? Now about the procedure as such, it is quite simple, and even if you feel there's a lot of processes involved. You don't have to really sweat it, because you would have our team, the FPS team, to once again guide you and handhold you through all of these processes. So this is just to give you a high level, like an overview of what it means, and how you get to the long stay visa in your hands, right? So the first step is an online registration, wherein you create an account on either of these portals, either it's etu.cons or the Campus Trans India portal, right? And what does it mean, creating an account? You just need to put together an application online, right? And that application involves putting across or putting up everything that involves your academic profile, starting from your academic documents, your diploma, your certificates, projects, if you have done any, your um, personal details, right? Your identity details. And very, very importantly, it also involves putting up a statement of purpose. That's the SOP. I'm sure all of you who are already aligned to pursuing your studies abroad, you know the importance of statement of purpose. So it is basically a letter wherein you establish and you put forth your motivation, the reasons. Basically, it is sometimes it is through the letter that the visa officer gets to know the student, right? So it depends on what you have put across, and how genuine you are as a student, and how genuine is your motivation, is what you're trying to is what they're trying to kind of assess. So it's a very important piece of document. More details on it, on how to put together a right SOP and things like that, are once again areas where we would be able to guide you and help you out with. So that's basically the application. It's just an online application where you're putting in all your details, and then you need to submit it. And once the Campus France officer has reviewed your file, you would be given an appointment. Prior to that, we also need to ensure, of course, before the Campus France officer gets to review your file, you need to make the payment as well online. Now, the appointment, I mean, it sounds so simple. Yes, just click and submit, and you have the appointment ready. So just want to take a tiny minute here to tell you that right now we are in the month of June, or almost hitting July. So this is the peak admission season for France, because as some of you might know already, the intakes in France are two, right? The most important and the majority of the intake happens in the months of September and October, right? There is also a smaller window, intake window in the months of January and February. But this, once again, being, riding up to the months of September and October, is in fact the peak, student admission season. So there is a lot of, there's a lot of rush, simple as that, right? Various Campus France offices, as well as eventually you will see at the VFS where you submit your application as well. So when do you do the Campus France procedure? When do you start the Campus France procedure? Typically, I would suggest about 8 to 10 weeks prior to your departure, right? It involves a lot of planning. It involves a lot of, organization. I mean, all this to avoid any last minute hiccups, any last minute hassles, because everything takes time, right? So Campus France appointment ideally should have been secured at least 8 to 10 weeks before your expected date of departure, right? So that's about the online application and waiting for the appointment. This is obviously leading up to the interview. So all of this for the academic interview that you would have to go through, at a Campus France office with the Campus France officer. What does this involve? It is an interview, and this is probably the only time that in your visa, in the visa journey, that you are having some sort of an interaction with anybody, right? So it is important that you do it with all seriousness and with all as clean as possible. It's an interview wherein once again the Campus France officer would want to check your motivation. Things like, why do you want to go to France to start with? why this particular school and why this program and things like that. So it is just to assess the genuinity, of your academic aspirations. As far as what to carry is concerned, you would be taking in all your original documents, very important there. All the original documents, we'll go through the list of documentation in a bit, so that should be that should get clarified then. But all your original documents along with the photocopies, and this is also a time to the right time to put forth if you have done any French language courses, or how good you are in French, if at all, or whatever little you have done, because that adds on basically to your overall motivation to choose France, right? So once that step is done, you move on to the last, not the last one, but the last, one of the most crucial ones. I mean, this is actually the application, the submission of your application for the visa, right? So this is again to be done online. I've put up the link there, so that's where you go in and create an account once again, get your get the application in place, and then you wait for an appointment. So once again, I repeat, this is not as simple as it looks on that slide. Click and appointment. No, especially not right now. Those months riding up to the intake, the months of the intake, months of the September intake, gets quite crowded and quite stress, everybody, I mean, the students, the people at the consulate, VFS, everybody. So give it enough time, plan out your academic journey well in advance, come to us, speak to us, get your, let us help you choose the right track, and plan your journey much in advance. You'd hear me keep repeating all through, because this is in fact a key point in your academic journey. So once you have submitted, you wait for the appointment. You have to go in person to the nearest VFS office. You can go into any VFS office. You can go in, as in you can look for an appointment in any VFS office, right? It's not restricted. It's not territory restricted in terms of your residence or study or work. It's just about where you want to submit according to your convenience. So wherever that may be, you need to make your presence, because you're going to submit it in person. The photocopies, right? There is no submission of any kind of originals that happens at the VFS office, except of course your passport, because that's what's going to come back with that, the precious piece of paper stamps, right? So that has to be given over. And very important, your biometric procedure gets done while you are at the VFS for the submissions, right? I'm sure there might be questions, but like we already agreed, we'll take that at the end altogether. And moving on, so we have submitted, and at the end of it, and how long does it take? Yes, how long does the visa, the turnaround time could be anything between 2 to 4 weeks. Yeah, especially during the peak season, it could take up to a month, sometimes 3 weeks, easily 3 weeks, I would say. So once you have your visa, you've gone to, you've flown your way to France, and don't get carried away. So that's what this whole point is about, right? Validation of long stay visa. Very often I've seen students who go in, they're so mesmerized, it's France after all. And before they know, it's already the 89th day, So what happens when it's the 89th day? Basically, you need to get, like I said at the beginning, you need to legalize your stay. You need to confirm that, hey, that it was me who got that visa stamped back in India, and I have made it all right to France, and not gone missing anywhere in between. So that's a very important step, and that needs to be done within 90 days. Very straightforward process. Again, there is a link. It's not important right now, but I just put it there. go in, fill in your details. It basically involves your personal details, things like where you're found a resident, where you're staying, some sort of a validation from your academic institution where you have enrolled and joined classes at probably also some bank because uh, you would need to start a local bank account as well, right? So all of that goes online. I mean, previously we had to go and submit it in person in an office. But since the last couple of years, the French government has taken that Herculean process away. So it is much easy. It's again click, right? But a very important step. And what happens if you do not do it within 90 days? Well, basically, you are stuck. And in case you want to exit, even if it is within the Schengen region, you wouldn't be able to get back, right? You'll have to go through the process all over again. Even if it means, for some emergency that you need to travel to India, you would obviously be able to go back. Nobody's stopping you from going back because you are a legitimate student in France, but it's not going to be easy. There are other processes that's involved, and it could get cumbersome. So get this also done as soon as you land up in France and have your residence and bank accounts set up, etc. Right. Well, after this, what happens is you go on, you do your studies in France, and most probably the most commonly sought after programs are usually those which fall within the period of 12 months. So by the end of 12 months, you are eligible to renew your stay in France, and which would you're entitled to a resident permit, right? So for that, once again, you will have to go and make your submissions at the local prefecture about 2 months before the 1 year period, right? So I'm not going too much into that. Those are things that we can help you in detail once you decide to really get going into this journey of France as your education destination. That sort of sums up all that I needed to tell you about the long stay student visa, right? Just thought I'd leave a few points here to show you that this is what it is about an internship visa that I mentioned in the beginning, right? So this is usually for a semester or maybe up to 12 months, not more than that, right? It is a kind of a longer visa, but there is something separate. I mean, there is a category called as an internship visa, so that's what you would opt for. So if it is going to be, since it's going to be more than 90 days, once again, you do have the Campus France procedure in there. And Convention de Stage, I've just basically wanted to highlight the fact that among all the documents that you need to submit at the time of the visa application, you will also need to have something called as the Convention de Stage, which is nothing but a letter which is drafted out, which is drawn out between the institute that's providing the internship for you in France, the institute that you're traveling from, your academic institute that you're traveling from, and yourself. So it's just a document saying that, hey, I know that the student, I invite the student to come over to do the internship with us. And, if there is any sort of remuneration, and, basically it is just it's a documentation that this is the reason the student is coming over, right? But it's a very important document. And without the Convention de Stage, you wouldn't be able to apply for the internship visa, right? Again, over the years, quite quite commonly seen visa type. Why? Because we have a lot of budding researchers in our country who would like to pursue their doctoral aspirations in France. I mean, and France once again is a most fertile land when it comes to research and development. I mean, I don't have to tell you France's history when it comes to research and scientists, right? So this is a slightly different visa because it's long term, right? But you fall into the category of a passeport talent chercheur visa. That's what it's called in French. Documentation almost always remains the same. Just that out here you will have, like we had the internship letter that we saw in the previous category. You have something called as the convention d'accueil, which is a hosting agreement. It's just different terminology, but the idea is the same again. Your the institute or the organization or the laboratory where you want to do your research sets out a letter saying that these are the conditions. This is what the student or the researcher is going to be doing. You know, I mean, there is a format. I mean, it's a there's nothing that you need to do. It would automatically come to you. You know, when you get that stage, and your guide or whoever you're working under would have this sent across to you. It's a norm, but that has to be there. And typically, this visa is for a period of 1 to 4 years because that's how long. 4 years max, right? Usually, the doctoral programs in France are for a duration of 3 years, right? And another interesting point here is that family members, yes, family members can accompany students on a long-term visa as well, the regular long-term visa as well, right? Out here, what I meant, I mean, I think I left out a word there. So out here, the spouse, the accompanying spouse is also eligible to work, okay? Which is not the case for a regular on a regular long stay visa. Okay, so yeah, so that's all there is about the researcher, the doctoral visa, as we call it. I think this might also be a slightly interesting slide. We've been hearing this a lot, with Macron coming in, Modi, and our Prime Minister going over. There's a lot of buzz that's been happening about the stay back options that we as Indian students are entitled to. So yes, this is what it is about. Indian students, alumni, of course, as well, are entitled for a 5-year circulation visa, right? Five-year circulation visa is for all the students who have completed masters in above from a reputed university or school in France, right? It is not an employment visa. It does not. It's a short-term visa wherein you get to go to France. You could for whatever reason, be it for travel, be it for business, whatever. You get to be there for 90 days and then you come back, and this goes on for 5 years. So it's a 5-year circulation visa, right? So this is and it's not limited to France alone because it's a Schengen. France is part of the Schengen belt, as we all know. With this visa, you're also eligible to travel within the Schengen region. And here are the list of paperwork, right? The paperwork that goes in while applying for any kind of visa. These are the basic documents that are required. I would let you read, and it's quite self-explanatory. Your passport, your visa application form that you would have filled up online. The acceptance letter, statement of purpose. Yeah, this is once again, imperatively to be included in your package of documents. A flight ticket. You need to have proof of accommodation as to where you're going to be staying for the next next 1 year. That needs to be shown. You need to have that proof while you apply for the visa from India. Your academic records, health insurance. I'll just brief on that in the next coming slides. And I think it is pretty self-explanatory, and that's what is needed, right? I mean, any questions, we'll take them at the end. So I don't know if I mentioned, proof of financial resources. Yes, so financial resources, right? What is to be shown as proof of financial resources when you apply for a visa? Basically, the idea is to show that you are in a position to take care of yourself financially for the next 1 year. That's what the French government or the authorities want to see. So they've done their math, they've done the bare minimum. They've come up with the bare minimum amount that a student would require while living in France for academic purposes, and they've come to this amount of 615 euros a month. But I would say, to be on the safer side, plan it out as at least 700 to 800 euros a month. That is what you need to. That is what you need to. That is what you need to, for all realistic purposes, be ready for. And also, when it comes to the visa, for visa requirements, you need to show this as your as your funds. Right now, how do you show this funds? It can appear in various forms. Um, you could show that you have this kind of money in your bank account. That is to be shown through bank statements dating from 3 months prior to your submission of visa application. You could have sponsorship letter or letters from your parents, from somebody in the family, or even a well-wisher who wishes to sponsor your academic journey, right? Scholarship letters. So this also doubles up as a proof of funds that is required at the time of visa application. But the bank statements are to be shown for 3 months, right? 3 months, 3 months to the time of application. The next one here is on health insurance. Again, an important point. Health insurance can and must be taken for a period of 1 year. Even though you are and you must enroll yourself for the mandatory social security program once you have landed up in France. Before you travel, you need to have a health insurance which includes hospitalization and repatriation in it, right? So you can contact any insurance companies, and they know what is required for a student. But this is a must even before you apply for the visa, right? And just put some points there as to what you need to be looking at once you have moved into France, right? So your basic insurance that you would have taken from here might not include all the kind of medical requirements in France. So it is always ideal to top it up with another kind of comprehensive insurance plan, which would include your things like the dental and optical requirements. So just given you some options as to what you could look at. This is post arriving in France, right? But before setting out, before going for your visa application, you must have a health insurance. Travel insurance is it's not mandatory. It is up to you, right? If you feel while you do all the hopping from Bangalore to, I don't know, Dubai to Berlin to eventually to France, you might you feel you're bound to lose your baggage or things like that. You can opt for a travel insurance as well, but then medical insurance, health insurance is a must. Again, very, very important. Not important. I mean, this must be probably the make or break question that's ringing in most of you. When you think of France as an education destination, do I need to know French? If yes, how much? Or do I not need French at all? Right. So to sort of try and answer your questions or your concerns there. Well, you have a lot of programs which are now being taught in English across the country, both at university level as well as in private schools, right? And this is across streams of, let it be engineering, management, hospitality, fashion, aeronautics, aviation. You name the domain, you do have programs that are exclusively taught in English. So to answer that question, whether you need French to study in France, it's a no, right? But for all other practical reasons, I mean, you're moving into a new country. where the local language is French. So if you want to move around and make friends and network and even probably go to the local bakery and pick up a baguette, the bread stick, you would need the language. So and also, I don't know how many of you are already aware of it, but all your master's programs come in default with an included internship program. So you must imperatively go through an internship to complete your master's program, right? So this internship very often, and you are in France, so why wouldn't you want to do your internship in France, right? So to get that internship, this is where your language knowledge or lack of it would play a role. So, but then you have time, right? You have time. You're looking at an internship a year from once you've landed up in France. So you've enough and more time to delve into the language. And as a French language trainer myself and a counselor, I always tell students, ideally, once again, plan out your academic journey well in advance. So that also gives you the time to do a bit of French before you set out. So that way you're like completely sorted. Once you land up in France, you have a basic level already upon which you build up once you're there over the months. Most of the programs, most of the schools, private schools, universities offer French lessons. I mean, it's not part of the program, but it's always there, so you can go in there. And trust me, you cannot not learn French once you are in France, right? So this basic level that you would have already acquired, along with what's waiting for you out there, gets you all ready to look out for that internship and eventually look for a job and find a job in France. So French is not needed to study in France at all. But then to eventually, if you're looking at it, all depends on what you want as well. So these are things that we would be able to guide you better when you come and meet us or talk to us in person. Your aspirations, what your motivation is, and we'll be able to direct you accordingly, right? And what's the right way? How do I crack this? How do I get it right? There's no magic. There's no one magical way or one word. Like abracadabra. It's a bunch of things that you need to bear in mind to have a successful application. Right. First and foremost, once again, get your thing wheels rolling really in advance, right? You want to look at moving to France next year. Start right now. Now is the best time to come speak to us. Find out what are the programs out there. Where do I fit in? Think about it. I mean, it's not just about speaking to us, right? You need to know. You need to have some idea of what your aspirations are, where you see yourself. What sort of you could change your stream. I mean, you could be an engineer today, and tomorrow you want to explore the hospitality industry. I mean, you could do that as well. So you also need to have an idea of where you want to, where you see yourself in. So get that going right away, right? Don't waste time on your initial research. So that's one thing. And then as you reach or as you are nearing the submissions and your application lead for your even for your admission, get your stuff together, organize your documents. Talking about documents, I forgot to mention that during your academic interview, you will have to also keep translations ready in case you have any like a birth certificate. Yeah, so the birth certificate is something that you might want to keep handy in your campus trans interview, as well as for the visa application, visa submission. So your birth certificate, if at all it is not in English or French, you might have to get that translated. There are a few things like that, little nuances. So there's a lot of preparation that's required, and it all the magic lies in starting early, right? The financial documents that I mentioned, ensure that that's all in place. These are gray areas where very often students, they think we've given it all, but yet we didn't, probably, unfortunately, we didn't get a visa. These are some of the areas, right? So you don't have it ensure they're all proper and clean and transparent Nothing ambiguous about it. Uh, Prepare for the interview. When the academic interview is important as well. Um, Think of it as a professional interview. So ensure that you go and dressed properly. Answer the questions. Don't talk too much. Keep it brief. Like the typical drill that you follow for any interview. Ask questions. And show that motivation. So that's a very important factor, a very important point that you need to remember as you appear for the academic interview. And of course, very, very important that you reach out to us the very moment that you think of France. You know how to, you know where to find us, you know how to get to us, and get all the help you need. And what's stopping you? Let's get you, flying to France as soon as possible. Bon voyage! I can't wait to say that to you, right? So that was my 2 cents about the student visa process. I would like to hand over to Deepa right now.
Thank you, Sithara. Thank you, Sithara, for that insightful presentation. So we have received a few questions already, and I would ask you to keep continuing dropping in your questions. So let's address some of the questions that we have received in our inbox. So one question is, what are the PR options? How much time can you work in France after a 1 year program? And how long do you have to work in France to get a PR?
Okay, PR is something subjective in France. It's not, because right now we are looking at the student visa options, right? So that's what I would be able to guide you through better with. But how long can you work in France? So France, for the Indian students, once again, you have something called as the ATS. It's a French word. I'm not going into the expansion. So basically, what it means is your job hunt. It's a job hunt visa. So you finish your master's program for a year or two, after which you will be able to extend your visa for 1 year first. And then once that comes to an end, you go in and renew your visa for 1 more year, making it 2 years. So if you're doing a master's program for 2 years, you would end up staying in France for 4. So that's the amount of time that you can stay back and look for a job or find a job. And if you have managed to find a job with a permanent contract, you get your you get your once you have your initial after you renew your visa twice, you might even get your visa renew stamped for 5 years. So, like, that really depends, but there's no stopping you staying in France. Once you have a job, you just continue for as long as you have a job, right? And PR is not, it's not impossible, but that is something that we would have to look at in a different session.
Yeah, thank you, Sithara. We have one more question. Is France safe for pursuing higher education?
Absolutely. You're talking to me. I mean, I was a student myself. I lived in Paris. Paris is sometimes, sometimes considered not so safe and things like that, because there's a lot of people who are in Paris right now, right? So, but to answer your question, absolutely. One of the safest, I mean, one of the most ideal places for Indian students to move over to. And if you're going into places, the big cities like Paris and Rio and all that, you will find bits of India there, so that you don't have any homesickness, be it your local, I mean, your traditional dosa, or, a biryani, or, picking up your Indian groceries. So, it's completely ideal for Indian students, and definitely safe. Yes.
Yeah. So another question is, can I work in France while on a student visa?
Yes, absolutely. So you can, as a student, while you're pursuing your program, you can work up to 20 hours a week, right? So that means it's part-time working. And during your breaks, which is your summer break or whatever break which you have, typically if you're doing just 1 year, a 1 year program, you would ideally have time only for a summer break. And you, during the summer break, or sometimes some, you also have a small break during February, March. So during breaks, you can work full time. Yeah.
So another question, is there an age limit to apply for a French student visa?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, for many of the management programs, like an MBA, the more work experience you have, the better, the more genuine a student you are for the program. So there is no age limit whatsoever to pursue any program, any program in France.
We have yet another question. How many universities do Fragomen represent? Can you help us in getting admission in France?
Absolutely. There is a bouquet of universities as well as private schools that we have in the offerings. So contact, get in touch with us tomorrow morning. Pick up the phone, write to us, and we'll get you started.
Okay. So another one here is the Campus France procedure needed if only going for one semester exchange program?
1 semester, yes, yes. Exchange 1 semester, yes, because the golden word, the key word is 90 days. Less than 90, more than 90, right? So if it's a semester, it's more than 90 days, and hence you must go through the campus transfer procedure.
Okay. Another question is, can a student's spouse also accompany on a student visa?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Family can go along, not with, not literally with the student. The student has to go over, set up shop, get a place to stay. So he or she needs to get the residence proof of residence, and the bank account created. And then it's a matter of, I would say, within 3 to 4 months, because you also need to legalize your stay in France. So once you've done that procedure, you can, your spouse can apply from the VFS, the local VFS in India, and can accompany with children, if any. Yeah.
Okay. We have another question. As an NRI, should I apply for the student visa from India?
Not at all. You would always apply from wherever you are. So if you're working abroad in another country, you would apply from there. You don't have to travel to India.
Okay. One more question. Do I have to apply specifically at the Campus France office in my state of residence or studies or work?
Again, the answer would be no. You can apply, you're free to apply from any Campus France desk, whichever is closer to you. I mean, probably you're traveling from Bombay to another city, and then on the way you decide to stop at Hyderabad. And I mean, you need to take the appointments. There's no walk-in. Just remember that. As long as you have an appointment, you can go into any any Campus France desk and any VFS office as well. It's not restricted to your region of stay or work or study.
Here we have another question. How to get an admission to public universities in France? Looking for scholarship-based options.
Yeah, so this is something we would have to, we would need to take offline. But applying is quite straightforward. It's better that you come in and speak to us, because it's not something. Absolutely, the answer in one word or one sentence would be that absolutely open to Indian students. Public universities are also open for Indian students, so there's nothing. It's just a process. So how it is, the nuances, we can take that offline. Yeah. Any more questions from the audience?
I think that's all that we have, Sithara, for tonight. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Thanks. Yep.
I'm sure they'd come back with other questions. I mean, we all need to sleep on things to have some clarity. That's what always works. So I'm sure we're going to be bombarded with questions later on, right? But
Absolutely. 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 All right. Thank you all for your participation and for those wonderful, great questions. We hope you found the session informative and helpful. Thank you, Sithara, once again, for bringing to us that extensive knowledge about France student visa process. Now, to join more for such informative webinars, follow us on our social media handles. Visit our website, www.fesindia.com, to drop in an inquiry and receive your personalized guidance. Thank you once again and have a great evening. See you all with another interesting topic in the next webinar. Thank you all.